You didn't wake up today by accident. The stirring you feel inside, the one that's been quietly pushing against fear and nudging you towards something more, it's not confusion. It's a divine awakening. I placed it there, deep in your core, because I've called you not to merely survive, but to overcome with the boldness of a champion. You've been walking through battles that no one saw, facing storms that tried to shake your foundation, yet here you are, breathing, still standing, still hoping, even if that hope flickers like a fragile flame. Let me speak to that flicker. Let me turn it into fire. You've been asking for signs, whispering prayers in the dark, wondering if I still see you. I do. I see you more clearly than you see yourself. And what I see is not broken. It's not weak. It's not too late. What I see is potential roaring beneath the pain. I see a conqueror rising out of ashes. I see a soul that refused to surrender. Even when the weight of life pressed down like stone, you thought it was your end, but I called it your rebirth. You thought it was silence, but I was preparing your stage. You were not being abandoned. You were being refined. I want you to hear me clearly now. The season you're walking into will not be like the one you're walking out of. This new path is not haunted by past failures or regrets. I've gone ahead of you and cleared the debris. I've made a way where there was no way. The doors that once slammed shut will now open effortlessly, not because you forced them, but because I'm unlocking them myself. You will walk into places you once only dreamed of. You will speak with authority you didn't know you carried. Not because you're perfect, but because your heart stayed soft. That softness, it's your strength. There are things I've placed inside you, strengths you haven't tapped into yet. Visions you've buried under practicality, callings you've minimized because you didn't feel worthy. But now I'm calling them out. Now I'm uncovering what life tried to bury. That faith, it's rising. That courage, it's awakening. That roar, it's echoing across your spirit even now. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to be seen to be chosen. You already are. Before anyone else noticed your fight, I crowned your victory. You've already won in realms unseen, and now it's time for the visible world to catch up. I know what tried to destroy you. I know the whispers that told you to give up. I know the lies that echoed louder than truth. But I also know what's stronger than all of it. My word over your life. My promise hasn't expired. My plans haven't changed. My timing hasn't failed. What I spoke over you still stands. And when I say you're more than a conqueror, I'm not just giving you encouragement. I'm revealing your identity. You weren't born to shrink back. You were born to rise, to lead, to carry something holy in the middle of a broken world. This isn't about pretending to be strong. This is about remembering who you are in me. You can fall and still be a champion. You can struggle and still carry greatness. You can weep and still walk in authority. You are not the sum of your setbacks. You are the reflection of my resilience. Every day you chose to get up and try again, that was victory. Every moment you held on to faith when doubt screamed, that was warfare. Every time you forgave when it hurt, that was power. I've been watching. I've been cheering. And now I'm releasing. Yes, I said releasing. Because there are things I held back, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The blessing would have crushed you before, but now it will elevate you. The breakthrough would have distracted you before, but now it will align you. I had to let your roots grow deeper before I exposed you to more light. But the light is coming, and when it shines, it will not expose shame, it will reveal glory. Your story is about to turn, and when it does, those who counted you out will have to watch you flourish, not for revenge, for redemption, because you are not just blessed, you are assigned. You are not just favored, you are equipped. You don't need every answer right now. You don't need to map out the next 10 years. You just need to trust me for the next step. I'll light it. I'll guide it. I'll walk it with you. You don't have to figure it all out before you start. Just begin. Begin with trembling hands if you have to. Begin with tears still fresh. Begin without applause. Just begin. That small act of obedience will unlock a chain reaction of miracles you weren't expecting. You've cried, "God, if this is really you, confirm it." Consider this your confirmation. Consider this message. My hand gently turning your face toward hope again. I know what you've been through. I've counted the cost, and I've still called you. The crown you carry isn't made of gold, it's made of endurance. It's forged in fire and polished with faith. You didn't earn it by being flawless. You received it because you stayed. And now, as heaven begins to move in your favor, as things begin to shift, don't be surprised when the pressure lifts, the way clears, and the right people start appearing. This is only the beginning. And yes, there will still be challenges, but you won't face them the same. Something in you has shifted. A champion is rising. And it's time the world sees what I've been building in secret. Prepare yourself. You're not stepping into chaos. You're stepping into calling. And I'm right here with you. There's been a shift in the atmosphere around you, even if your senses haven't caught up to it yet. What was once resistance is becoming release. The tension you've carried, the inner battles you couldn't explain to anyone. Not for nothing. I've used every moment, every tear, every doubt as soil to prepare your breakthrough. Nothing has been wasted. Not the nights you wept in silence. Not the moments you questioned everything. Not the days when faith felt like a burden instead of a gift. All of it was seed. And now, the harvest is forming not in theory, but in reality. You don't need to chase what's already yours. The blessing I've prepared for you doesn't require you to perform. It requires you to believe. You don't need to outwork everyone. You just need to outtrust the fear. The door is not going to open because you forced it, but because I've declared it open. I'm not asking you to strive harder. I'm inviting you to walk stronger, with the kind of strength that comes from knowing you're backed by heaven. You've been equipped for this. The weight you thought would crush you has only forged your frame for glory. I know the labels people tried to stick to your name. I know the version of you that some still see, but I need you to hear me. None of that defines you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are not who they said you'd become. You are who I called before the foundations of the world. You are my idea, my masterpiece. And while they looked at your failures, I was watching your faith. While they judged the surface, I was refining your core. And now, the version of you that's about to emerge will not be familiar yet, will be radiant. You see, there's a kind of glow that comes from walking through fire and still believing. There's a kind of beauty that suffering can't steal and pain can't erase. And that's what I've been shaping in you. You didn't just survive the storm. You worshipped in it. You didn't just endure the silence. You leaned in. That's not weakness. That's warrior-level faith. And while you may feel ordinary, heaven sees you as a vessel of divine fire. You've been entrusted with this season because I trust what you carry. You're not random. You're strategic. And what's about to unfold is far greater than what was lost. Stop rehearsing the old battles in your mind. Stop replaying what they said, what you did, what you should have done. That chapter is closed, and not with shame, but with grace. I'm not holding your past over your head. I'm holding your future in my hand. You've been asking for direction, so let me lead you through the fog, even when the path isn't clear. My presence is. You'll know it by the peace that breaks through the noise, by the alignment that starts to happen without your effort, by the people who leave without warning, and the doors that close without explanation. Don't resist it. I'm doing the pruning. I'm making space for better. You weren't born to remain stuck in cycles. You weren't born to carry burdens that don't belong to you. The generational weights, the emotional traumas, The mental loops that try to keep you small, they're breaking. You're not bound by what bound others. You are the breaker. You are the shift. You are the one I've raised up to walk free and bring freedom to others. That's why your path has felt so different. That's why your process has felt so lonely. It wasn't punishment, it was preservation. I've been keeping you set apart because what's inside you needs room to grow without contamination. Don't mistake my protection for abandonment. I remove people not because you are unlovable, but because they couldn't walk with where I'm taking you. I silenced certain opportunities not because I wanted to limit you, but because I have better doors that match your destiny. When you prayed for clarity, you didn't realize clarity sometimes comes by subtraction. You prayed for strength but didn't expect the weight. You prayed for influence but didn't anticipate the crushing. But all of it, every pruning, every pause, every delay was preparation. I've been building you, layer by layer, for a release that won't be temporary, but eternal. And now there's a fire in your belly that you can't ignore anymore, a hunger you can't quiet with distractions, a longing that doesn't go away, even when you try to numb it. That's me. That's my spirit stirring within you. You weren't created to settle. You weren't wired for average. That restlessness, it's not rebellion, it's revelation. I'm showing you what you were born for. I'm igniting the parts of you that have been dormant. Your voice, your purpose, your impact. It's all waking up now. And I won't let you go back to sleep, because this is your moment to rise. Not in ego, but in purpose. Not to prove anything to others, but to walk in what I've already approved. There's a grace over you that others won't understand, and that's okay. You don't need their validation to walk in your calling. You just need to say yes, and as you do, I'll take care of the rest. Provision will follow vision. Peace will follow obedience. And miracles will follow motion. Just take the step. Even if it's small, even if it's shaky, I'll meet you there. The season ahead will require faith, yes, but it will also unlock fulfillment. The kind that doesn't come from applause, but from alignment. The kind that doesn't just feel good, but does good. You're not just entering into blessing, you're stepping into legacy. You're becoming the answer to prayers prayed generations ago, and it begins now. You've been walking through days where nothing around you seemed to confirm what I whispered in your spirit. You've stared at empty places where you expected abundance, and yet something inside you kept believing. That wasn't naive faith. That was spiritual maturity. That was heaven-rooted discernment, rising in a soul that's been tested and refined. Every time you chose to trust me instead of panic, to wait instead of rush, to bless instead of curse, you were building spiritual muscle. You were declaring with your actions, I know who walks with me, and I've seen it. I've honored it. And now, it's time you begin to see the fruit of that unwavering loyalty. You've asked me, was I wrong to believe for more? Let me answer you plainly. No. You were not wrong to expect overflow. You were not wrong to dream of beauty after the ashes. You were not foolish to believe that broken things can be made whole. You're not delusional for thinking that my promises still apply to you. You've simply been in the hidden phase, the stretching phase, part of the story where the roots grow deep before anything appears above the surface. And now those roots are strong enough to sustain the weight of what I'm about to grow through you. You've wondered why others moved faster, advanced quicker, received what you waited years for. But what I'm birthing through you is not temporary. It's not fast food. It's not fleeting favor. It's legacy. It's impact. It's depth. And things of depth take time. I've been slow cooking your promise, marinating it with my presence, seasoning it with endurance, covering it with divine fire, until it's ready not just to be seen, but to be sustained. Because what good is a blessing if it breaks you? I'm not in the business of partial victories. I prepare my people for permanence. Do not let time trick you. Do not let delays redefine my word. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not happening. I am not bound by clocks. I am the one who created time, and I step into it at the perfect moment. What looks late to you is right on time to me. When I move, things accelerate. Years of pain can be healed in a moment. Lifelong battles can end in a breath. I'm not limited by human patterns. I move by kingdom principle. And your faith is a signal to heaven that says, now is welcome here. Stop measuring progress by what others can see. Some of the greatest miracles I've done in your life have happened in silence, in your heart, in your mind, in the way you've begun to speak differently, think differently, love differently. That internal shift, that's my spirit at work. That's transformation. And that change inside you is going to start reflecting outward. People won't recognize you. Not because you're pretending, but because you've been purified. You've come through a refining that burned off what was false and left behind what is true. And the version of you I'm revealing is powerful, wise, compassionate, and bold. You've feared losing yourself in the process. But child, you were never meant to preserve the old you. You were meant to evolve. What's leaving your life right now isn't punishment, it's promotion. I remove what hinders so I can release what heals. You've been shedding layers, old fears, old mindsets, old attachments. That's why it's felt heavy. Not because I've abandoned you, but because I've been peeling back what's not aligned with your next. Grief sometimes precedes growth. Let it flow. Cry if you need. Mourn the endings. But do not cling to what I've already unrooted. Because what's coming carries joy beyond understanding. I am not calling you to return to the comfort zones that once numbed you. I'm calling you into wild obedience, into trust that defies logic, into the kind of faith that makes no sense on paper but makes history in the spirit. You've asked me to use your life. This is what it looks like. I call you out of safe spaces into sacred ones. I ask for your yes when you don't see the whole map. Because I'm not building your life on strategy, I'm building it on surrender. And when you live yielded, you live unstoppable. Because my power is made perfect in your surrender. You don't need to fear making the wrong move. As long as your heart is surrendered, I'll reroute you if needed. You're not alone in this. I'm walking with you, breathing courage into you, surrounding you with my presence in places where you feel unsure. I'm not just opening doors, I'm walking you through them. And what waits on the other side is not chaos, it's clarity. It's provision. It's people who see you and honor what I placed inside you. It's opportunities that align not just with your skills, but with your calling. You've outgrown environments that once felt safe, but no longer feed your spirit. That's not pride, that's promotion. There are whispers in your soul you've tried to silence, visions, ideas, urges to move, to create, to speak, to change paths. That's me. I've been awakening the deeper waters in you, the parts of you that were buried under responsibilities and disappointments. The dreams that never died, they just went dormant. But now I'm breathing on them. I'm stirring up the prophetic blueprint I placed in your spirit long before you were born. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not forgotten. You're exactly where I knew you'd be when I scheduled your emergence. And this is the season of activation. So do not hold back. Don't shrink to fit spaces that no longer match your destiny. Don't dim your light because others are still adjusting their eyes. Shine, rise, walk, speak, build, heal, release. You're not stepping into pride, you're stepping into purpose. You're not drawing attention to yourself, you're pointing to the one who lifted you. And I'm going to use every part of your story, the good, the ugly, the silent, the loud, as fuel for others. Your scars will become signs. your wounds will become weapons, and your testimony will unlock chains in people you haven't even met yet. You've prayed to be used by me. This is what it looks like. A life surrendered, a heart on fire, a mind renewed, a body strengthened, and a spirit aligned with heaven. I didn't choose you because you were perfect. I chose you because you were willing, and your willingness is a magnet for miracles. You don't need a platform. You don't need permission. You don't need to be ready by the world's standards. You just need to keep saying yes. And I'll take your yes and turn it into impact beyond what you can imagine. I see how you've been second-guessing yourself lately, wondering if you're qualified to carry what I've spoken over your life. You've questioned whether your voice matters, whether your story is significant, whether your presence makes any real difference. Let me silence every one of those lies with one truth. I made no mistake when I chose you. You are not a backup plan. You are not the second option. You are not a replacement for someone else who failed. You are my intentional choice, my divine design, my handcrafted expression of heaven's purpose in a human body. And nothing about your life is random. You've survived things that could have taken you out. You've kept going when no one was cheering. You've shown up when it would have been easier to disappear. That kind of resilience is not learned, it's divine. I placed it in you. I watered it through adversity. I trained it in the silence. And now, I'm calling it forth. Because what I'm doing through you next will require that same boldness that carried you through the shadows. But this time, you won't be moving through survival. You'll be moving in strength, not just holding on. You'll be taking ground. The lies that have tried to cage your confidence are being dismantled. Slowly, steadily, with every truth I speak over you, I'm disarming the accusations. The ones that told you you're too much or not enough. The ones that said you missed your chance, that you're too late, that it's over. The ones that convinced you that everyone else is called except you. I'm replacing every one of them with identity. You are chosen. You are anointed. You are equipped. You are covered. You are my child, not in theory, but in truth. And when you walk in that truth, atmospheres shift. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. You don't have to strive for validation. Your approval was sealed by my spirit, not signed by people's opinions. The doors that are meant for you will recognize you by the authority you carry, not by the applause you receive. So stop shrinking. Stop apologizing for your presence. Stop waiting for permission to exist in full color. I didn't give you gifts to hide them. I gave you vision so you could lead with it. I gave you discernment so you could break cycles. I gave you boldness so you could shake systems. Now is the time to stop holding back. You're entering spaces that won't know what to do with someone like you. They're used to control, performance, hierarchy. But you walk in with presence, with fire, with conviction, and that will be disruptive, but in the best way. Don't water it down. Don't blend in. I didn't send you to echo the environment. I sent you to shift it, to bring heaven where it's been missing, to embody compassion where there's been hardness, to speak life where silence has smothered hope. I didn't ask you to become like them. I asked you to become like me. You may not always feel strong, but that's never been the requirement. I've never asked for perfection. I've asked for partnership, and that means you get to show up with your honesty, with your humanity, with your fear and your faith in the same breath. You don't have to clean yourself up to come close to me. I'm already here, in the mess, in the confusion, in the tension. I'm not repelled by your questions. I'm not intimidated by your doubt. I'm not disgusted by your weakness. I embrace it, because that's where I reveal my strength, not above your pain, but inside it. This process hasn't been punishment, it's been preparation. Every delay was refining your focus. Every detour was shaping your heart. Every moment you felt overlooked, I was anchoring your identity in me, not in results. And now you'll walk with a steadiness the storm cannot shake. You'll be rooted in something deeper than circumstance. That's why others will come to you, not just for advice, but for peace, because they'll feel my presence on you. They'll sense a weight of glory, not because you forced it, but because you've been forged in the fire. I'm raising up a generation that doesn't just talk about Methe, carry me, and you're one of them. You don't need credentials to be used by me. You need surrender. And you've given me that again and again, even when it cost you comfort, connections, and control. That's why you're trusted with influence. That's why you'll walk into places without needing a title, and yet people will listen. Because you walk in with my favor. And my favor isn't loud, it's undeniable. It surrounds you like a shield, opens what no man can close, and sustains what no strategy can manufacture. You felt small at times, like your voice is a whisper in a world of shouts. But let me remind you, the earth doesn't need more noise. It needs clarity. And what I speak through you will cut through the chaos. You don't need to be the loudest. You need to be obedient. One word from a yielded vessel can undo decades of darkness. One act of compassion can interrupt cycles of pain. One moment of faith can trigger generations of healing. Don't underestimate the ripple effect of your yes. You don't see the full impact yet, but eternity does. So walk boldly, even when your knees shake. Speak life, even when your voice trembles. Take the step, even when the ground looks unstable. I go before you. I cover behind you. I surround you on every side. You're not walking into the unknown, you're walking into fulfillment. Into territory I already claimed for you. Into moments that were written before you were born. And you'll see me show up in ways you didn't know were possible, no, just in the big moments, but in the ordinary ones. The smile of a stranger, the whisper in prayer, the divine alignment of timing you couldn't plan if you tried. Your story is not a cautionary tale, it's a victory anthem. And you're just getting started. I've watched you in the hidden places where no one clapped, where no one offered praise, where your only audience was me. And even there, you chose integrity over recognition. You chose kindness over revenge. You chose to keep your heart open, even when it bled. That matters to me more than you know. Every silent act of faithfulness, every tear you didn't explain, every time you forgave without an apology, it's all counted. Not one moment has been wasted. Not 1 ounce of your pain has gone unnoticed. I have stored it all, not as memory, but as material. Material I now use to build what's next. This is why your life carries weight. This is why your words will pierce through. You've lived what others only preach. You've wrestled with your questions in the dark, not to be seen, but to be transformed. And in that quiet, I met you. Not to fix you, but to hold you. Not to demand answers, but to be the answer. And now, what's emerging from that sacred wrestling is a voice that doesn't echo trends, it speaks with power. It doesn't perform, it embodies. Because it's been formed in the furnace of real life, not the spotlight of pretense. What you carry is not common. It's holy, and it cannot be commodified, manipulated, or diluted. That's why I've protected Itevan from your own ambitions. There were moments you were ready to run, but I held you still. There were doors you wanted opened, and I gently shut them. Not because I was withholding, but because I was preserving. Because timing matters when the calling is this weighty. Because premature exposure would have fractured the very thing I was healing. And now, healed and hidden no more, I'm bringing you into visibility, not for fame, but for function, for impact, for legacy. You don't need to fear the light anymore. You won't lose yourself in it. You won't become someone you're not to stay relevant, because you've already died to that need. You've already been stripped of what doesn't last, and what's left is authentic, anchored, whole. What's left is someone who has nothing to prove, but everything to release. Someone who doesn't just carry revelation, they live it. And that kind of person, humble, refined, relentless, is unstoppable in my hands. That kind of person is exactly who this world is aching for. There will be moments ahead where people won't understand the path I have you on. They'll question your decisions. They'll doubt your direction. They'll offer opinions dressed as wisdom. But don't let it shake you. You don't need consensus to obey me. You don't need applause to be faithful. What I whisper to you in the quiet will always carry more weight than what they shout from a distance. And if you stay aligned with me, the fruit will speak for itself. The results won't be loud, but they'll be undeniable. Transformations, healings, divine collisions, evidence of heaven on earth through your life. And even when you're misunderstood, I will be your defender. I will speak for you in rooms you haven't entered. I will turn hearts in your favor without your manipulation. I will vindicate you without your retaliation. Because you are not alone in this assignment. You're backed by the fullness of heaven. You are surrounded by angelic presence. You are guided by wisdom not of this world. You are upheld by a hand that never weakens. So, rest. Not in circumstances, but in me. Rest. Not because the journey is easy, but because I carry the weight of it. I haven't brought you this far to abandon you. I haven't invested so deeply in you to let it all unravel. What I've started in you, I will complete. And that means you can trust the process, even when it doesn't match your expectations. You can trust the pauses, the slow unfolding, the reroutes. I am not rushed, and you don't have to be either. There is power in patience. There is blessing in the wait. There is clarity forming that can only emerge through stillness. So don't resist the rhythm. Let me lead the dance. I know every step of it, the ones that feel like stumbles. The favor on your life is not a coincidence. It's not random. It's an indication of what I've placed within you. But remember, favor is not about statuses, about stewardship. And I've entrusted you with much. Your words, your creativity, your perspective, your pain turned into wisdom. All of it is sacred. All of it has purpose. So use it well. Use it with courage. Don't minimize your voice to make others comfortable. Don't edit your truth to avoid offense. Speak with grace. Yes, but also with boldness. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs clarity, conviction, and compassion flowing from someone who has been with me. This is what I'm building in you. A holy resilience, a fierce gentleness, a presence that cannot be ignored because it's not built on ego, it's built on encounter. And when people meet you, they'll feel me. Not because of your perfection, but because of your surrender. Because you let me touch your wounds. Because you let me rewrite your story. Because you stopped performing and started living fully alive. That's what transforms atmospheres. That's what breaks generational chains. That's what shakes the darkness. And when it gets heavy again, when the voices of fear try to return, when the pressure rises and doubt creeps in, you won't crumble. You'll remember who you are. You'll remember who I am. And you'll keep going. Not in your own strength, but in mine. Because I'm not just your calling, I'm your companion. I'm not just your provider, I'm your portion. I'm not just your goal, I'm your guide. And I'm walking this with you, every single step. There is a place I have prepared for you, not just in eternity, but in this life. A space tailored for your gifts, your story, your heart, and your voice. You've been trying to fit into molds that were never made for you, trying to measure up to standards that were not mine. And I've watched you shrink your brilliance to avoid being misunderstood. Dim your light to keep others comfortable. Dilute your truth to maintain peace that wasn't real. But I am calling you out of that false harmony. I am calling you into wholeness, into fullness, into unapologetic alignment with who I made you to be. There's a courage I am awakening within you, not loud, not reckless, but steady. Courage to show up when no one claps. Courage to speak when your voice trembles. Courage